Okay, so these are the example problems from yesterday's assignment. The first thing we want to do is we want to rewrite these equations in slope-intercept form. So we have to first isolate the y variable. So for this first problem, we're going to first subtract 3x from both sides. So then we end up with negative y equals negative 3x plus 5, because we want it in the form y equals mx plus b. Okay, now this y is not by itself yet. We still have that negative sign in front of it. So that negative sign actually means it's negative 1y. So in order to isolate the y variable, we have to divide everything by negative 1. So then we would have y equals negative divided by negative would make that positive 3x. And then plus 5 divided by negative 1 would make that negative 5. So now we identify our m and our b. So our m is 3, and our b is negative 5. Okay, so for this next example, we're first going to subtract 6x from both sides. And then we get 8y is equal to negative 6x minus 16. Now we're going to divide everything by 8 because we have 8y. To undo 8 times y, we divide by 8. Okay, so these will cancel. So our y is by itself. Now we're going to simplify negative 6 over 8. So in order to simplify negative 6 over 8, we're going to divide the top and the bottom by 2 because they're both even. So we have negative 3 over 4x, and then negative 16 divided by 8 is negative 2. So for this problem, our slope, the number attached to the x, which is our m, is negative 3 over 4, and our y-intercept is negative 2. Okay, so for the last problem, we're going to first subtract x from both sides. Then we'll have negative 4y is equal to negative x plus 0. So we technically don't have to write that plus 0 because anything plus 0 is itself, but we'll leave it there for now. All right, so we're going to divide everything by negative 4. Now remember that the number in front of that x, if it's just a negative, is negative 1. So this in slope-intercept form would be y equals, so if I simplify negative 1 over negative 4, that would just make it positive 1 over 4 x plus 0. Okay, so our slope is 1 over 4, and our y-intercept is 0. We technically do not have to write this plus 0 here. So if you had y equals 1/4 x, that is also correct. Okay, so now we're going to graph these lines, or graph these equations. So in order to graph these equations, we have to remember that we have to write this equation in slope-intercept form so that we can identify the slope and the y-intercept, and that's how we graph it. So we're going to subtract 3x from both sides. So we end up with 5y equals negative 3x plus 5. Now you divide by 5. Now this cancels. We get y is equal to, so negative 3 over 5 would just stay that way, x, and then plus 5 divided by 5 is 1. Okay, so now our slope here is the negative 3/5, and our y-intercept is 1. Now we always start, remember this is our starting point. Here is our y-axis, here is our x-axis. If our y-intercept is 1, we have a fixed point on that y-axis at 1. Now remember, our slope is our rise over our run. So I'm going to rise -3, which means I'm going to go down 3, and then I'm going to run +5. So I'm going to go +5. So my next point would be here. So you just draw, you actually drag the line, but we draw the line through those 2 points, and that is the graph of that equation.